Hello, Dr. Terry Lynch here, medical doctor, accredited psychotherapist, best-selling mental health author, creator of mental health courses for mental health professionals and for the general public. Today I want to speak briefly about science and scientism, the difference between these two, and why this matters in relation to mental health globally. Science is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world, following a systematic methodology based on evidence. This systematic methodology is known as the scientific method. The scientific method is the process of objectively establishing facts through testing and experimentation. The basic process involves making an observation, forming a hypothesis, making a prediction, conducting an experiment, and finally analyzing the results. The scientific method can only answer questions that can be proven or disproven through testing. The TechTarget website sets out the scientific method in diagrammatic form. The first thing is to ask a question. Then do background research. Next, form a hypothesis, followed by testing with an experiment or with data. The results are analysed, conclusions are drawn. Based on this, the hypothesis is either accepted or rejected. In both scenarios, the hypothesis being accepted or rejected, the results are then reported. When a hypothesis is rejected, the next step is to try again, to ask a different question perhaps, to ask a slightly better question. The late Dorothy Rowe, prominent psychologist, author of many books, including this one, Depression, The Way Out of Your Prison. She kindly wrote the foreword to my book, Beyond Prozac. On 2 occasions, I had the honour of sharing a speaking platform with Dorothy Rowe. On both occasions, she stated that a primary purpose of research is to enable us to ask better questions. Elsewhere, Dorothy Rowe said, psychologists fought hard to be seen as empirical scientists, yet many of them are still confusing belief with rigour. In other words, mental health professionals, psychologists and psychotherapists, counsellors, should assume nothing, should be willing to test, to critique everything. Common pitfalls in using the scientific method. The scientific method can only be used for testable phenomena. Both proving and disproving the hypothesis are equally valid outcomes of testing. It is possible to ignore the outcome or inject bias to skew the results of a test in a way that will fit the hypothesis. Data in opposition to the hypothesis should not be discounted. Within the prevailing paradigm of mental health, particularly in relation to the psychiatric diagnoses, core principles of the scientific method are breached time and time again. For example, hypotheses that advance the position of the medical profession and the pharmaceutical industry are held on to many years after they should have been rejected, the brain chemical imbalance being one of many such examples. Indeed, the common belief that psychiatric diagnoses such as depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia are fundamentally brain disorders. This is a hypothesis that has not been validated scientifically in spite of over 70 years of vigorous research seeking to establish this. Within the current paradigm of the psychiatric diagnoses, the first step, asking a question, tends to be fundamentally biased in favour of biology and against psychology, trauma. This is not how the scientific method is supposed to operate. The scientific method is supposed to be employed and considered objectively. The last line here, data in opposition to the hypothesis should not be discounted. There is a myriad of evidence that the psychiatric diagnoses are, for example, closely connected to trauma. And yet, this evidence, based on millions of people's own personal experiences in life, is minimized, is discounted within the current paradigm of the psychiatric diagnoses. Scientism refers to the excessive reliance on or belief in the methods and results of science as the only valid form of knowledge, often dismissing other perspectives such as philosophy, religion, or the arts, or indeed psychology. This situation pervades the global understanding of mental health, within which science, or more accurately what is claimed to be science and scientific, is seen as far more trustworthy, far more reliable than other approaches, such as seeking a trauma-informed and psychologically informed understanding of people's experiences and behaviours. Science is a method of inquiry about nature, while scientism is philosophy. Science is a method for asking questions about the world. Scientism is the view that science is the only objective means by which to determine what is true, or is an unwarranted application of science in situations that are not amenable to scientific inquiry. Dr. Thomas Insel was director of the American National Institute of Mental Health, arguably the most powerful and important mental health institute in the world. At an American Psychiatric Association meeting in 2005, he said that the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, often described as the Bible of psychiatry, the Bible of mental health, has 100% reliability and 0% validity. The important bit here is the validity. And he is saying, and he's not alone, I've created a video on this, which is on my Instagram profile. He is one of many high-level doctors who have said exactly the same thing. Reliability here just refers to doctors arriving at the same conclusion, but that's no help if the conclusion they're arriving at is wrong. So the world of mental health is infused not really with science, but with scientism, the belief, often expressed coercively, that only science can make sense of people's experiences and behaviours. This is a seriously erroneous conclusion, one that's affecting millions of people worldwide, one that's impacting on psychologists, therapists, counsellors, because this false idea is out there that unless something is scientifically evaluated, then it doesn't have the same level of credibility. What's rarely stated is that the so-called science itself of the medical profession in relation to the psychiatric diagnosis is very seriously flawed, as I've set out elsewhere. Coinciding with an article that I've written for the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy Journal, Healthcare Counselling and Psychotherapy Journal, I am creating a series of courses for psychologists, psychotherapists, counsellors, setting out a far richer understanding of the psychiatric diagnoses that will help therapists to work with people more confidently who have been given psychiatric diagnoses. If you would like to be updated as to when these courses become available, the first course will be on depression, and I'm expecting that will be available by October 2025. Comment below, message me below, and I will make sure that you are informed when these courses become available. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.